now that we got that out of the way, here, as you can see on the file, this is the control part of the file. Here you have the title. Here you have the dates that you're going to be looking at, in this case from 2015 up to 2020. And then on the bottom, as you can see, there's something called analysis level. As you remember, on the PDFs, there were basically 4 different levels that you could look at data, which was all SDCE, the numbers for all the programs together, the overall programs, so the numbers for either healthcare, emeritus, ABSC, so on and so forth. If you were in skilled technical trades, you also received PDFs for division. So you could either look at welding division, trades division, and electronic divisions. And lastly, the programs within the overall programs. That was the last PDFs you would receive. And then you would receive how many programs were in your overall program. In cases, for example, business and accounting has a lot of programs, so you will receive a lot of PDFs. Right now, everything is in this file. However, since the numbers are in different aggregate levels, you will have to choose here what level you're going to look at. So if you click where it says none, right now it's not showing anything. However, here will show up an option where you're going to have either to look at all SDCE numbers, overall program numbers, division only if you're in skill and technical trades. All the other programs should not have this option. And finally, you can look at the program. So if we just go to all SDCE, you're going to click on it, and then you're going to wait a little bit. I don't know if you noticed, but right here, where I'm clicking right now, which is cell B5 through J5, it was blank before. So if I go back to none, it is blank. So as you can see, once you choose something here, the title will update and will let you know where you are located. In this case, you are looking at all San Diego continuing education. This is important because every time you choose something, the data is going to load. So you're going to have to wait for this title to show up before you start looking at the numbers, because this file is grabbing data, it's loading into the system. So if you start moving the file before it loads, you might see weird numbers because the file hasn't finished loading all the numbers. So if I were to choose something different, I'm just going to go to program, and then I'm going to select program. I'm going to go over how this works. I'm just going to say art courses. It's going to load, so you have to wait for it to load. You see it still hasn't shown anything here. And finally, it's going to tell you you're right now on the overall program emeritus and on the program art courses. So this is important because the data has to load before you can actually look at it. Another way for it to look, the data to load, on the bottom right corner, let me try another one. Let me choose business courses. On the bottom says calculating for processors, right now 16%. This is another way for you to know that's still loading, and as soon as it disappears means it's finally loaded. So you always have to wait for it to load before you look at the data. Okay, so let's go back to all SDCE. So all SDCE, you don't have to choose anything because all SDCE, again, it's everything. And then on the bottom, you can see that you have table of contents. The table of contents will let you, as it works, it will show you how the report is divided. In this case, I decided to separate it into different sections. In this case, we have headcount by student demographics, disability, full-time, and so on and forth. So you can see the sections that you're going to be looking at, and you can see the table that belongs to that section. So in this case, as you can see, headcount only has one table, but FTS, full-time equivalent students, it has 2 tables, and so on and so forth. Keep in mind that depending on what level you're in this case, all SDC, you only have 8 tables. However, if I go to, for example, overall program, you can see that we have more tables. So before we had 8 tables, now we have 10 tables. So depending on the level, you're going to have different tables, and you can see in the table of contents what you're looking at. So if we look at automotive, for example, and you wait till it to load. So now suddenly you have 14 tables because automotive also has program completion rates. So keep in mind that depending on where you're located, you're going to have different type of data to look at. Okay, now that we're in overall program, let me show you something else. The table of contents will also let you click on any of the sections or the tables, and it will take you to that spot in the report. So if I want to look at enrollments, I could click either on the enrollment section, or I could click on any of the tables and it'll take me directly there. So in this case, if I click on enrollments, bam, it takes me to enrollments. And here you can see all the different programs that belong to automotive with all the numbers. If you want to go back to where we were, you just go to the left. And this is where everything is. So again, if you want to go back to select anything, you can always go to the left, or you can just keep looking at the report. You can also click on the tables and themselves, and it will take you to the table. So if I click on table 7, it will take me directly to table 7, which is overall completion thresholds. And then on the bottom, I also have table 8. So now that I've gone over how the control part of the report works, let me show you the report. So basically, the report starts again with all the data, all the options of the report, and then on the right you're going to have all your different data. You can actually scroll on it. You don't have to click, but the clicking will help you. And here you have headcount, student demographics, you have disability support programs and services. Again, if I zoom in, it's going to look a little better. And the numbers are, again, they're huge numbers because they're made up. So you have section full-time equivalent students, FTS, and then you have FTS by on-campus online. I don't know if some of you guys remember last year we did FTS, and then at the end of the report you have FTS online. So I made sure I put everything on the same section so it made sense, so the data would flow in a little better. And then you can keep going and you have all the data you want. Since we're looking at an overall program level, here on awards, you're going to have all your different programs. However, let's go and look into just program level. So I'm going to look at the program level, which is the smallest of the aggregates that we have. And then here I have the list of all the programs. Of course, this is my data. However, your data will only have the programs related to your overall program. So let's just choose anything, nursing assistant program. So again, I wait for it to load. It finally finished loading. And if I go to overall completion thresholds, now this table, for example, will show all the different courses that belong to that program. So all the data that you want to look is already in this. If you look in this report in just a simple clicks, you don't have to go to different files, you have to do different places. If you want to look at your courses, you just have to look at programs. If you want to look at your programs, you can look at overall program and it will put everything in there that you want to see on a smaller level.